In marketing, we're all about the big launch, right? But what if the real work, the real magic, actually happens after everything goes live? Today, we're going to talk about a huge shift in thinking, moving away from campaigns that just end and embracing a way to constantly, and I mean constantly, get better results. So, let me just ask you this straight up. What happens when your campaign is done? If your first thought is, well, we write a big report, file it away, and start the next thing, then honestly, you might be leaving a ton of value just sitting there on the table. And this slide, this just nails the difference, doesn't it? The old way was a one-way street to a dead end. You pour all your energy into the launch, you get the numbers back, and then that's it. All those insights, all those learnings, they just kind of die in that final report. But the new way? It's a totally different beast. It's a circle, a loop, where every ending is really just the beginning of the next. Even better idea. So let's give this powerful cycle a name. We're talking about the optimization loop. And I want to be super clear here. This isn't just some new tactic to try out. It's a whole new way of thinking about our work as marketers, and it's all about getting better and better results consistently. So what is continuous optimization really? Well, at its heart, it's a mindset shift. It's about looking at a campaign report not as a final grade, but as a blueprint. It's the bridge that connects everything you just found out directly to what you're going to do next. And the process itself is beautiful because it's so simple. Seriously, it's just 3 steps. First, you test. You put something out into the world, an ad, an email, a targeting idea, whatever. Then you learn. You actually dive into the data and figure out what happened. What did people love? What did they ignore? And finally, you improve. You take those real-world learnings and you make the next version that much better. Test, learn, improve. That's the engine that drives everything. I absolutely love this analogy. Think about a race car engine. You don't just tune it once and call it a day, right? No way. You're constantly listening, making tiny little adjustments, all to squeeze out a bit more power. Our marketing campaigns, they deserve that same level of constant, obsessive care. Okay, so the theory is great, but what does this actually look like when you're in the middle of a live campaign? Let's get real and talk about how you can actually make these mid-game adjustments that can completely change the final score. All right, here's a classic example. You're a week in and the data is practically screaming at you that one particular audience segment is converting like crazy. The old way would be to just make a note of it for the report at the end. But the optimization way? You act right now. You immediately start shifting more of your budget over to that winning segment to really press your advantage. Same exact idea with email. Say you A/B test a subject line on just 10% of your list. A couple hours go by, and it's obvious version A is getting double the opens. You don't wait around. You call it. You declare a winner and send that better performing email to the other 90% of your list. It's a simple, in-the-moment decision that gives your whole campaign a lift. And it's not just about finding the winners, it's also about cutting the losers fast. Let's say you see a search keyword that's getting a ton of clicks, but 0 conversions. It's literally just burning your money. The key is you don't wait for the monthly wrap-up. You pause that keyword today and move that spend over to keywords that are actually working. This halftime analogy is just perfect for this whole idea. Think about it. No coach waits until after the game is lost to figure out what went wrong. They get in the locker room at halftime, they look at what's working and what isn't, and they change the plan to win the second half. That is exactly what continuous optimization lets us do as marketers. Now, making these little adjustments in the moment is awesome, but the real power, the real magic of this whole thing happens when you start to zoom out. This is where we see how all those little tweaks start to add up and create this incredible compounding effect over time. So this all works on 2 levels. You've got the micro level, which is all those daily tweaks we just talked about, adjusting a live campaign to get a better result today. But then there's the macro level, and this is where the long-term wins are. This is when you start taking the lessons from all your campaigns and use them to make your entire strategy smarter for next quarter or next year. You're not just improving a campaign anymore, you're improving your whole marketing machine. The British cycling team became famous for this idea of marginal gains. They figured if they could improve every single tiny thing by just 1%, the combined effect would be absolutely massive. And it's the exact same for us in marketing. A slightly better headline, a slightly more efficient bid, none of it seems like much on its own, but you add it all up, and suddenly you have a huge advantage over the competition. Okay, so we've seen how this helps our campaigns and our strategies, but what does it mean for you and your career? Because this is more than just a process, it's a mindset. And honestly, getting this mindset is probably one of the most valuable things you can do for your future in marketing. Just look at how these day-to-day actions build the skills everyone's hiring for. When you're in there tweaking budgets based on performance, you're not just moving numbers, you're building commercial awareness. When you're digging through a report to find that one key insight, you're becoming a great data analyst. And every single time you pivot your plan based on what the data is telling you, you're building an agile mindset. This is literally you getting better at your job in real time, every single day. So, what's the big takeaway here? Well, adopting this mindset changes your job description. You go from being a campaign manager who just launches things and reports on them to being the conductor of a dynamic program, a program that's always evolving, always improving, and always adapting to what's really happening in the world. And that really brings us to the final, most important question of all. Don't worry about changing everything overnight. Just think about that marginal gains idea. What is one small thing, one headline, one audience segment, one keyword that you can test tomorrow? Find that one thing and just start the loop. Thanks so much for joining.